Press. Let me start by offering my congratulations to the new president of the Uganda Law Society, Isaac Semakadde, and I hope he's going to walk the talk, because I have some few bits and pieces which I'd like to share with him at some point to see if he's serious about cleaning up the bar and the bench. This morning, I want to talk on something which has bothered me of late. And especially as we're coming to this round of independence, I keep hearing since 1986, talk about the economic upturn of Uganda since 1986. And I want to be clear on this one in that much as NRM and the president are posturing as the ones who brought about economic development by embracing market economy and a degree of liberalization, I want to end that, what I can call outright misrepresentation of the facts of the history of Uganda. The truth of the matter is, when NRM took power, they did not have an economic program or policy. They attempted dealing with things like barter trade, and it went reaching around on various plans and programs which did not work at all. I know there will be those who will be doubting and disagreeing, but I want to quote from the first budget speech made on the floor of Parliament by the NRM. And this is what they said, I quote, "What went wrong in Uganda was that budgetary discipline was lacking, and those who advocated the monetary approach to the management of the economy depended on the market mechanism to orient the economy towards more production and less consumption." So NRM is criticizing a market economy in their first budget speech. Then they add, the situation was made worse by the financial program approved by Obote government and supported by the International Monetary Fund. So NRM disassociated everything which had occurred before, blamed the UPC for coming up with programs and the support of the international organizations. On the issue of embracing a market economy, they went further to say they therefore decided that the exchange rate be fixed at $1,400, 1,400 shillings per US dollar with immediate effect, and also went on to say that dual exchange rate was abolished. Before I dwell into this one, I need to take you back. UPC, when elected in 1980, embraced a mixed economy, embraced market mechanism, and did carry out a dual exchange rate initially. But on the budget speech given on the 15th of June 1984, and I'll read it verbatim. And this is the president, who was the Minister of Finance at the time, said, "I propose that the dual exchange rate be unified on 15th June 1984 at a rate to be struck at the auction on that day." Meaning, those who are bidding for the dollars, it was going to be the market which would determine from June 1984. People who came out to the bush in 1986 fixed the exchange rate. Today, they're behaving like the fathers and mothers of liberal market economy. That is nonsense. It's a lie. UPC, which has been criticized, the records show ahead of its time, had embraced the market economy. But liberalization under UPC is a very different concept from the one under NRM. Liberalization under UPC was to open up to other competitors, but does not remove the hand of government or the government institutions or supported institutions which were working to benefit the citizens of Uganda. Under UPC, there is no way you could have ever sold Uganda Commercial Bank. That was a people's bank, built by the people, by their produce, which was marketed by the marketing boards. Recently, I went with my committee of national economy to Mombasa to look at what is under Uganda Property Holdings. And people are surprised that the lint marketing board, the coffee marketing board, produce marketing board have warehouses in Mombasa. They have commercial buildings on the main street of Mombasa. They have residential buildings for the senior staff who are working to move Uganda's products out of Uganda into the world market. If you say the produce marketing boards and those systems are not working, how do you acquire property? With what? It made sense. And that is why UPC at the time could tell farmers, produce, the market will be found. Nalukulongo. Those stores there, which is now under World Food Program, Anaponye, those were produce marketing board stores where the produce of Uganda from all over was being collected and moved by rail to the port to get to the external markets. The marketing boards also have property in London. London was the main center for where Uganda's products were being sold. You can see the output of the production. So I want to put it on record here that all this nonsense about market economy, people saying that they were planning how to get people to earn, the common man to earn, for me it is absolutely wrong, and I want it to be clear. Independence is an important day. And independence was what gave birth to many of these things which we talk about in UPC, which we treasure. Because everything that was done to benefit the citizens of Uganda. Recently, I've been seeing the household census, and I cringe. Some of those statistics are scary. You look at the statistics of how many people are finishing primary education, how many are finishing secondary education. But our education system is no longer preparing our children to meet the challenges which they face in the Uganda of today. Parents are struggling left, right, and center to educate their children. They're losing everything in that process. But the system does not treasure the citizens of Uganda. The economy of Uganda was supposed to benefit the citizens of Uganda, not the citizens to benefit the economy. These days people talk about money, 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 but where is the money coming? Is it working for the citizens? We boast about fish exports, but around the fishing communities, all around the lake, we are finding malnutrition because people can no longer afford the cheapest protein, which was fish. The fish is now for export, not for the citizens of Uganda, not the children of Uganda. This, to me, is where we draw the line and make it clear that 2026 is not going to be business as usual. 2026 is going to be a serious conversation about the future of the citizens of Uganda. What benefits them? How can we raise the standards? How can we improve on what was done? Not to misrepresent history, but to organize ourselves to be the determinant of the future of the citizens of Uganda. So, warning is out that this revision of history is not going to stand. And I'll urge all of you members of the press, the first program which you can call a real program, which the NRM produced, was known as the Rehabilitation and Development Plan. But I can tell you, and without any fear of contradiction anywhere, that first program released was the revised recovery program, which was to be issued in September of 1985. UPC didn't have the chance to issue it because we were overthrown. If you look at the wording of the project profiles, if you look at all the work to be done and you compare it with the UPC recovery program, it is called absolute plagiarization. I don't know what they call it these days when somebody copies your work. Yeah, but I mean, anybody should look at it. So those who are condemning and trying to run UPC down, the program which NRM started standing on, which started doing some work for the city of Uganda, was a UPC program. And I challenge them, let them contradict me. Let them prove me wrong. You will see the revised recovery program and the rehabilitation and development plan are word-for-word plagiarizations. It's no secret. But I think there are people who have never bothered to really look at the detail. But I promise, as we go to 2026, all of these things will be laid bare. And let us, as Ugandans, have a serious conversation of where we're going, where we want to be, and what potential we have. I have complete faith that the people of Uganda can manage. I have complete faith that we are blessed as a country. God has blessed us with one of the best climates ever. We should not be in a situation of food insecurity. We should not be in a situation whereby we're not able to meet the needs of our people. And many of our professionals, recently we're celebrating Teachers' Day, but the teachers are not happy. And the teachers play a very, very important role in shaping the destiny of our country. They must be central in our planning, in our organization, as we prepare to take Uganda into the future. Our health services, we have brilliant health professionals. But the motivation, the support, the tools with which they work with is not befitting of somebody who has gone through the process to achieve so much. Let us honor them because they play a very important role in our society. So as we head to independence, let's reflect from where we came from. What was the dream of independence? Is that all citizens of Uganda can enjoy and share in this wonderful country God blessed us with. Let us honor that dream and work for the citizens of Uganda. I say all of this for God and my country. Through several programs, trying to do the same thing time and time again, but coming up with the same results, is a clear indication that the program is not working. It is hard to imagine that by throwing money at every problem, you're going to get a solution. You also need to appreciate where people are at that material time. If I'm holding money and my children are not going to school, what am I likely to do? You'll pay the fees. And you try to solve issues later. So programs need to be geared around the specific activities or production lines, which then the money goes to the producer and they're able to earn a decent living. So I don't expect, PDM, the latest one, which is another incarnation after OWC. The one before OWC was Bonava Gagawale, and then you keep going back to Entandikwa and PAP and all these programs. But I don't expect it to work, and that is obviously going to be something we're going to talk about in the 2026 campaign. That this is the program, what has it done? How has it changed the lives of the citizens of Uganda, and how best can we do so? So that is going to be an open matter for discussion, but I do not have faith that that program was well thought out, organized, and geared towards uplifting the citizens of Uganda. Yes, sir.
Honorable, where do you see the future of this country's economy after 6 weeks?
So, in my case, my grandparents were cotton farmers, and it is cotton which educated my father. So, the basis from the agriculture side has been across the board. Very many people who are able to succeed, it was on the background of agriculture and supporting those who are producing. Now, the cooperatives were there to support their members to produce. The marketing board was to help get the product from the farmer and get it out to the markets which were there. And therefore, there was an active attempt by these institutions, which you will not say were completely government, because it's owned by the cooperatives, which were members' organizations, to get our exports out. So we still need to look at what do we have, where do we have an advantage, what we can produce and how we can access those markets. But at the same time, we need to be training our manpower in a way whereby that manpower will be able to handle different aspects of living. The more we develop, you need more specialization at different fields. And therefore, there will have to be some level of disconnect. But still, there's a huge percentage of Ugandans which still rely on agriculture, and therefore we must find ways of how we can deal with it and help it become strong. I mean, there are people who have said that the cooperatives were largely destroyed because of the background of association with UPC. But there's been nothing which has replaced them. All these attempts which he was raising, all these programs, then you're having circles which are not clearly defined to try and replace what role the cooperatives played in helping the production. So Uganda is blessed, but we now have to access those blessings in order to be able to gain an advantage in regional and international markets. At the same time, we need to develop our manpower according to the needs for the future.
Do you think rationalization of these organs back to their mother ministries would produce good or maybe positive impact to the economy?
Okay. What he claims is one thing. What the facts show is something totally different. Now, when you look at the 80s, throughout the period of the 80s, the average per capita income during that period was just below $300. But you look at the conditions whereby you did not have people who are earning multi-billion or multi-millions of dollars. That reflected what the common man had in the pocket. What the common man was able to access from the sale of whether it is cotton, coffee, or whatever produce. Now, to put it in context, you say figures don't lie. Many of us here are parents. How much does it cost to educate a child today? Now, Uganda government allocates 20,000 shillings in the budget per child in primary. One child, 20,000 for 1 year. And it's not guaranteed that because there's 20,000 in the budget, it is going to be released and reach that child. If you're saying we have these multi-billions, but the child of Uganda, the future of Uganda, you only allocate 20,000 out of those billions, who are you working for? When Pineti talks, money is there. But this child, the Ugandan child born in a village of Uganda, 20,000 shillings per year. Is that a correct economy? Is that justice? Are you doing justice? We need to improve our child's future, and you're giving them 20,000. Now, you say about figures. I read this issue where they said the exchange rate was fixed at 1,400. Mark you, now you remove the 2 zeros to come to today's currency. So effectively, the dollar was 14 shillings in 1986. Today it's how much? 3,000? Put your 3,700, divide by 14, gives you 200 and something. For percentage, you put 100, multiply by 100. So the shilling of today has depreciated by over 20,000% from the shilling of 1986. You want figures of 86? It has depreciated by over 20,000% depreciation. Is that not a figure? You say figures don't lie. That's a figure. The dollar today to the 14 shillings when they showed themselves to power. What is the depreciation? So if you had your wealth in shillings, you are pauper. And there are many people who are able to manage their lives, able to raise their children, able to educate their children, who cannot do so today. Those are the ones I'm fighting justice for. That let every child have an opportunity in Uganda. Let every Ugandan have an opportunity to succeed. And there were systems put in place to look for those bright children, to give them opportunities to be able to succeed. The education system was built around the issue of developing our manpower for the benefit of Ugandans. And that's what I'll stand for. So I will defend my record, and the figures also don't lie. Depreciation of over 27,000%. That's the reality. Let them quote that figure. Let me process of coming up with one candidate who the party can back, but that is going to be an interaction, and the determination of the candidate, it is actually with the leaders on the ground in Kisoro, and it is our role to support them in the decision which they make. But at this moment, UPC has two candidates who want to vie for the position, the vacant position of Member of Parliament.
And how soon are these preparations?
No, we're in the process of dealing with them because we had to hear the expression of interest. So now that we know we have two aspiring, then now we're going to see how we're going to filter and see whether we can develop consensus or we're going to go through a process. All of that is left to be determined by the leadership on the ground. Yes, sir.
My name is Hannes. My question is, what's your take about the current government?
The census and the communities of obviously which will, how do you explain a reduction in population? It does not add up, it does not make sense. And therefore, it's right to question that, was this money well spent? If there are such glaring mistakes in what the outcome was. But obviously, you may also look at it that there were attempts to manipulate the population figures. And that one will be looked at in preparation of rigging the 2026 election in advance. So you don't put anything aside from people who will do all sorts of schemes to maintain power. But we should actually have the right information in order to be able to plan effectively. You must really know what is there. You must know what your population is, what condition they're living in, and in order to be able to come up with a proper, effective plan which can enhance the quality of life which the citizens have. So if you have poor input data, the output will also be just as poor. You'll not be able to come up with something effective, and you'll not be able to cater for all those who needed to have been catered for in whichever plans are going to be devised for the future of the citizens. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. NRM chairman is always boasting.
My understanding is, and we go through this every election cycle, there'll be talk of reforms, there'll be some discussion of reforms, we people run around, but the dance remains the same thing. We go through the same process and we end up at the same point. So I am preparing for an election under presidential basis. This talk, as far as I know, it's to distract, to confuse people, to mislead people. All of this is being done to throw things around. Even the issue accusation of the Electoral Commission, I want that one totally unpacked. And if they're serious about electronic voting, I will offer UPC to test it. In our process where we're going to be electing from the village, you bring your electronic system, let us see how it works. We'll run our paper system, we'll run our own system, and we'll be able to tell you whether the whole system is rigged from the beginning, but not to ambush us in 2026 that you're going to go for electronic where you have not done the preparation. So, many of these issues change a lot of dynamics. Parliamentary system, you have parliamentary democracies, which are democracies. But parliamentary system is completely different. And for parliamentary system to work effectively, we need more responsive and robust parties with clear political platforms. But I honestly don't believe that there's a serious push towards a parliamentary system. I think this is also just to occupy people's attention. But some of us are not going to lose focus, and we're going to continue and maintain our push to have a difference in the livelihoods of the citizens of Uganda. On the bill, we interacted, and I don't think much of it was brought in good faith, and there are things which cannot work. Parenting is not an easy task. Very often, our children will go out and shout what we whisper in the bedroom. But maturity causes one to be able to filter and know what to say, when to say, and where to say it. But obviously, we have different understandings and appreciation. But I'm quite sure Daddy is going to clean up the mess. I'm sure there's a lot going on behind the scenes to clean it up. But we need to be serious about how we handle matters of great importance, diplomatic and also issues of governance. There must be a level of sobriety in handling it. There must also be some level of predictability and organization on how certain things are done. Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. My name is Uganda UPC. How safe is UPC?
Thank you for watching Lango News channel. Please subscribe for more updates. Thank you for watching Lango News channel. Please subscribe for more updates.